It's hard to say goodbye. Every PC has moments and memories that you relied on it to create. This was my 2018 Zydex PC, one that I was super excited to grab, review, and play with. It was beautiful, 6-core, 8700K, GTX 1080 Ti, 32 gigs of DDR4, and a clean style to light the room at night. It was a box that I filmed years of Arma ops on. I was even introduced into DCS with this PC. I filmed 100 guns firing into the air to never forget a fallen friend on this machine. It's just a motherboard, it's just a chip, but additionally it's the medium of which I've made many friends and many memories. I'll miss it. It was a good boy. But the gaming world today requires something different. The trench. Yep. Realistic shooters and simulators are the most demanding of the PC game bunch. Large maps with high player counts, lightning-quick firefights echoing off pine trees, photorealistic lighting, and fragmentation shells. You don't need a PC to play Arma 3. You need a fast PC to play Arma 3. Outdated engines with half-broken code or polished ones running above your monitor's refresh rate. A few frames could mean the difference between your airstrike hitting its target and you looking like a newbie. Every core, every megabyte, every gigahertz counts, and for the first time in 4 years, I felt like I needed more. So on a chilly Texas morning, I asked my friend Demon Mitt what would be the best setup for me, and we put the parts list together and the order was on its way. A few days later, they're in, and I was left to build my first PC I'd build in 5 years. Case is huge. It's a thick boy. I guessed it correctly. It's not perfect, it might not be the prettiest, but it's done, and it's mine. Asus X570 Crosshair motherboard, it has tons of USBs, 16-core AMD Ryzen 5950X running at 4.5 GHz, 64 GB of DDR4 RAM running at 3600 MHz, and an RTX 3080 Ti. The case is the oh-so-sleek and gigantic Corsair 7000D, and cooling the components inside is the Arctic Liquid Freezer AIO cooler, along with some Arctic 140mm fans to bring cold air in while staying very quiet. Some might ask why there's not much RGB or case lighting. Honestly, for the few extra bucks it would have cost me to add lighting, I thought of the breakfast tacos I could buy with those savings and chose to go all black. $30 of RGB or $30 of breakfast tacos from Mary's in Bernie, Texas. Tacos, yeah. All the Amazon links to those exact parts are in the description, by the way. Do know that some websites will have better pricing, so definitely suggest going to like something like PC Part Picker if you're wanting to build for the first time. It'll find prices that are the best for you and then order them accordingly. So let's run it. The first game I tried, of course, Arma 3. Ultra settings, 3000 meter view distance, 2000 object distance. Holy crap, we're hitting 120 frames in Arma 3. Is this real? Arma 3, being the very optimized game it is only using about as much CPU usage as I like pineapple on pizza. Out of 16 cores, I think like 2? Technically, I think Arma 3 uses 4, but where? I can't even see it. Where are you, Arma 3, on all of these bad boys? I bought this for you. I'm $3 grand poorer for this, but hey, I guess now I'm putting it in a video, so I guess it's a business expense. So that's $3 grand Uncle Sam won't be able to tax me on. Let's try multiplayer. I was on the hillsides of a village on Altus with a ghillie suit and an M320 408 sniper rifle. King of the hill, around 40 players in the server, same settings as before, roughly averaging anywhere between 75 FPS and 120. This is dumb. The game isn't even using all of the cores. It's just the added performance per core that's doing the heavy lifting here. And maybe that's the slightly faster RAM speed too. I don't know. It's dumb. Arma's dumb. DCS. I'm not very educated in how DCS works with different CPUs, but it's definitely a more modernized game in terms of optimization. Changing PCs wiped all of my control schemes, so I jumped in a simple frog foot on the Hog at Georgia, a war server, hastily bound my controls from memory, loaded her up with some laser-guided missiles, and then went tank hunting. 60 FPS when taxiing. I probably used to get closer to like 35 here. When taking off is when I really felt the difference, though. Make up traffic, Draco 11 taking runway 22 for eastbound departure. Make up.
Go for 461 on 30. Also be advised I am monitored 134.
Wow. Holy crap. Up in the air, I was hitting a frame rate I don't think I hit very much at all before, if at all. I guess there's a natural cap on the game at 120. I was sitting there flat. Like flat 120. Quick flybys, it didn't care, 120. Looking around quickly in the cockpit, didn't care, 120. Going down to do a strike mission though, all the objects load in. I don't think I ever went below 75 frames though. This server is known for being one that isn't the easiest on your PC either. It loves to shove 15 different missions at once in the PvE conquest mode and probably has an average of, I don't know, 40 to 50 aircraft flying around at any point. I know these benchmarks aren't exactly the easiest to recreate if you'd like to compare and contrast, but multiplayer servers go up and down in terms of frames. Different locations and exact settings will change your performance drastically, but I hope that these examples show you real-world situations with the settings that I would use to showcase what a noticeable difference it is to see the effects of 4 years of technological gaming PC progress. God damn. This is the way that I play these games. These are the games that I play, and I can feel the difference here. I was very impressed with DCS. It was the most impressive of the bunch with the biggest amount of frame rate change and performance change. I didn't exactly track the RAM usage when I played, but I've consistently hit over 20 gigs of RAM usage before in DCS on my old PC, so 64 gigs instead of 32 might have given the game some more breathing room, and 3080 Ti means I can shove most of the graphics settings to max with little to no effect. It felt super smooth, turning into rocket runs with the Frog, a substantial improvement over what I used to feel on my 6 core. One thing to note as well, the cooling of this setup is much better too. Playing on the old rig, I used to commonly hear my GPU spin up its own fans to dissipate heat. I had to put, with MSI Afterburner, a pretty aggressive fan curve just to make sure it was keeping itself cool enough in the case, especially when I was like streaming for long durations. I think going from the dual 120 fans on the front to triple 140s, as well as a double AIO to a triple, increased the airflow of the case substantially, and it's something that anyone with a higher end 20 or 30 series card should really take note of. If your card is thicker than your wallet after being single for 2 weeks, you should probably check up on your cooling configuration. A big radiator on a card means it's going to give off a lot of heat, and airflow through the case fans does a lot more than you might think at keeping every component cool and comfy. I'd recommend even for budget PCs to make sure you've got every potential fan slot filled with a fan on your case. These Arctic fans are affordable and extremely quiet too. My buddy Demon Mitt swore by them, and he do not lie. They are mute. I accidentally forgot to replace the rear exhaust fan on my PC, so it still has a stock Corsair case fan, and it alone produces more wind noise than all the other fans combined, even the ones shoving air through the AIO radiator. Squad, baby. I averaged about 80 FPS in Squad before. Now I'm rarely going below 90. In combat scenarios on a full 100-player vanilla server with all settings, the highest they can go, except for Far Shadows, just a measly 120 FPS average. At this point, I was constantly giggling during combat sequences, just laughing at how atrociously high this was in Squad. This was worth it. I have zero doubts about this system speed any longer. Battlefield 1, arguably the most optimized Battlefield game of the newer releases. Battlefield 1, in my opinion, also has some of the most beautiful maps and scenery in the franchise, so that's why I put it on this list. On my very first round in months, I got 64-1.
Dude, this operator's guy is 40-0.
Really?
He's cheating. Yeah. Gotta be cheating.
Can you put TNT on me? Oh god, this is my freaking Halo Reach last stand, baby.
I'm trying to get the... bolt actions, man, I swear. They're crazy. We're playing Kamikaze.
Yup. Haha, it's the only person that ever was able to kill me.
Imagine using charms as an armor horde, Drewski. What?
What did he say?
Chams?
Chams? Charm? I swear, wait. Some insane sense of where the assault is.
Is he
accused
saying
you,
I'm
that's-
hacking?
He accused you of hacking. Yeah,
Chams? What does
I don't know
chams
what,
mean?
I don't know what chams means.
Yo, the
got him.
guy who killed
Yo,
me
you
thinks
got
I'm
him.
wall hacking in Battlefield 1. I love this
experience.
this is my first game back, right? My first
Yeah.
game back, and I go 64-1. The frames kind of jumped all over the place, though. If you watch the footage, I don't think it ever went much lower than 150, and occasionally I was even hitting like 230, but I don't know what it is about this game in particular, but through 3 different PCs I've played this game, and I feel like the responsiveness and the controls and the smooth frame rate and frame times make this game just one of the most clean FPS experiences ever. I bought my first 144 high refresh rate monitor back in the day in like 2017, and playing on the 240 hertz today and occasionally seeing all those frames while playing, it just feels good. It feels solid. Good game, BF1. Good game. Tarkov. This one's the interesting of the bunch. In the woods map before, I used to maybe average 75 FPS, and now I'm hitting only about 85. I say only, but I just feel like that difference is not as much as I saw or noticed in other games. Sometimes I still drop down near 60 FPS during events like small firefights at the edge of the map. I don't get it. I think this is a good sign that BSG still has some work to do on the optimization side of the game. Probably everybody with a budget PC is holding up their hand right now saying, yep, this game's graphics are good in some areas, but are still leaps and bounds behind other games in areas like outdoor lighting and shadows and distance detail. I'm excited for the DLSS update, which has been recently announced, as that should help the problem quite a bit, especially for people with lower end but newer cards to run DLSS. But it's pretty apparent after comparing all these games that Tarkov might just be a little bottlenecked by its own limitations. That sounds really mean, but that's what I observed. It still felt noticeably more responsive. I caught myself a few times subconsciously like swaying the camera around just to feel the frames. I was getting to feel the difference, and I did notice a few times during the raid, I would sit there and go, wow, my game's really smooth. And then I would notice, okay, I just out of nowhere during, you know, a hard focusing moment, just realized that my frames were smooth. That means I'm obviously, my subconscious is noticing it at that point. Games like Hunt Showdown and DayZ and Insurgency Sandstorm I all tried as well, but those games are already games that I usually ran over 144 hertz with, and so I feel like I didn't feel as much of a difference out of them. I probably, if I went back and benchmarked an old PC to new PC and I spent that much time on this video, could probably see a noticeable difference there, but it isn't going to be as much as games like Arma and DCS, games that are more CPU bound, because that was the main upgrade of this PC, this CPU. It went from 6 cores to 16 cores, and each one of those cores is somewhere around 25% faster than the old 8700K build. After all of this work, I think that it still is something important to say today, that if you're into games that are simulator games, large-scale shooters, or realistic MILSIM games, most of these games require a very high-end CPU to get good frames. If you're building a PC build, anything from budget to maxed out high-end, I would try to leverage your GPU money and put that into a higher-end CPU. Now, that goes against what most AAA games would require, a higher-end GPU and maybe a mid-tier CPU, but I think that getting a good CPU for these games is definitely worth it, especially in today's market where GPUs are already so expensive. You might as well buy something that's not as inflated as GPUs and then spend a little less money on a graphics card to fuel your MILSIM experience. Building your own PC has its perks. In most circumstances, you will spend less money than buying from a pre-built manufacturer that builds PCs and probably upscales the price by about 30% and then sells them out to any customer who wants to buy. But in some circumstances, with certain graphics cards, if you want this certain build, you might be able to find a PC company that is building these same exact PCs that you would want for an actual cheaper price than building it yourself, especially if you get a coupon code or something like that. You can get some pretty good deals out there. This is because for those big companies, they're buying graphics cards in a surplus and they can lower the price of what they spend on their PC that they're selling you by just buying in bulk. You are a single person buying a single GPU, a single CPU, so you'll be paying a premium just for that. But if you're a first-time PC gamer and you buy a pre-built PC, you're not going to know the inner workings of it if something goes wrong, and not if something goes wrong, when something goes wrong. Trust me, as a guy that works on PCs every single day, I play games every day, something will go wrong. I've probably had 3 or 4 PSUs die on me before, monitors die, graphics cards literally catch fire, things go wrong. And sometimes it's hard to troubleshoot, sometimes it's aggravating to troubleshoot, but doing it yourself will save you money rather than going to a PC tech store. And knowing what to fix could save you time when, for example, just a PSU dies and all you have to do is just buy a new one off Amazon and replace it. It's super quick and easy compared to sending the entire box back, not having a PC for a week or 2 while it's in shipping, and then getting it repaired and sent back to you. It's just a huge hassle. If you want to know how to build a PC, I don't really want to guide you myself. I haven't built one in 5 years, so I might be kind of rusty. Obviously, I put those RAM sticks in the wrong slots when I was building mine, so I wouldn't trust me myself. But there is plenty of YouTube videos out there from very well-known YouTubers that make guides of how to build PCs. And if you want some extra help, you can go to our Discord under the Tech Talk channel, discord.gg/Drewski, and you can ask questions there, and there's some pretty informative people there to help you along with your PC building adventure. So boys and girls, stay quick, stay optimized, and I will see you in the next one.